It's movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom. He's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a spectacle. From San Francisco to Long Island. 'Cause nothing's better than a motion video.
It's Movie Time, produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm G Kline.
and this is It's Movie Time. Now, Ken, enormous amount of respect for you. You know your movies. So, 2 weeks ago, you said to me, the best movie I've seen this year so far. And I said, okay, we're doing it. I don't even have to vet this movie to know that I'm having a show on it when you say that. It is called Detective Chinatown 1900. What the heck is this thing?
I don't know as we've ever done a Mandarin language film before.
I don't think so.
And I think it's overdue because the last couple of Mandarin films that have come to the United States have been very, very good. This one is absolutely terrific. It is a fun, over-the-top screwball comedy. Well, let's talk about what it is. It is a murder mystery, action-adventure, comedy, political thriller. How about that?
No, it is, and you did a nice job, and you exemplify exactly my feeling about the film. It's overstuffed.
Oh yeah, there's so much going on all the time. But what impressed me about this movie is how it manages just to play this balancing act between three sets of characters whose lives converge in Chinatown in San Francisco in 1900, while at the same time talking about social issues of the era. This film is about the xenophobia that the Chinese immigrants faced in 1900 working on the railroads and living in San Francisco, and how they were almost purged from San Francisco because of racial intolerance.
Well, as a matter of fact, it wasn't there truly legislation called the Chinese Exclusion Act?
And this is what's so great about this movie. All of the things they touch upon in this is factual. This, like much of the Chinese films that come to the United States, there's a political element to it. They want to get a message to American audiences and to their own audiences about history, about the history of the Chinese people. And they do a very good job of being very accurate.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of credit.
And as many people would know, they're not maudlin about it. And they haven't done what we kind of the stereotypical view of them pounding the table, just saying how unjust the world is.
No, how easy it would have been to have made this movie just strictly about the xenophobia and make it a dark film about abusing Chinese railroad workers. But no, we get a screwball action comedy, kind of in the style of Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant.
And in fact, we have John Cusack
We do.
playing a bad boy Republican.
Playing
Love
a
to see
bad
that.
boy Republican governor, I believe, whose daughter has been killed.
Yeah.
And we have a character who's been traveling America with Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, he does.
And Holmes is called upon to solve this murder mystery but has no interest.
This young man, he actually wears the typical...
He wears the deerstalker cap, yes.
And he's supposed to be deputized by and/or a student of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Yes. So we see it right away. That alone, just seeing the kid with the stalker hat on and doing some Sherlock Holmes type stuff.
See, I'm laughing just thinking about this movie.
I know. So yeah, what interests me as well is seeing Chow Yun-fat.
Yes.
Oh, how
Yes.
delightful! I mean, from Crouching Tiger on,
Yeah.
he's a presence.
And everybody in this movie is at the top of their game. I mean, it's a long movie, but it goes by so fast.
You think, yes, it is long.
You don't feel like you've been in the theater for 2.5 hours. It's because the action never stops. You're on a roller coaster ride, carried along with the other characters are these three martial arts experts who were sent by the Dowager Empress of China to go to San Francisco to find and retrieve this political dissident.
Yes.
And then on top of that, we've got the character, the wealthy Chinese son of a businessman who is involved in this murder mystery as well.
Well, is he accused?
He's accused of the murder.
And this is Chow Yun-fat's son.
This is his son, yes.
Yeah.
And he's accused of the murder, and he plays the role of the the person telling the audience about what's going on in Chinatown, what's going on in America in 1900 and how the Chinese are being treated.
Well, let me say one diverting element of this, and one that convinced me right away we had to do this, was the very name Chinatown.
Yes.
Because one of the favorites, and our buddy Wayne's favorite movie of all time, is Chinatown.
Chinatown.
Now, we know that, as you pointed out, there's nothing in Chinatown about Chinatown.
No.
In that movie with Jack Nicholson. But it does cast a pall over the whole thing. It is China, it's the last line.
Yes.
It's something like relax. This is Chinatown.
This is Chinatown.
Yeah, right,
yes.
right. But there isn't that interesting? Detective Chinatown 1900. Right away I'm caught by the name of one of the best films ever made, Chinatown. And it draws me in, and it's a part of the whole fabric of their just having a good time with what they're doing.
Oh yeah, well you know what movie this reminds me of? It reminds me of Pirates of the Caribbean. in the way that Pirates of the Caribbean kept itself very lighthearted, but got into some very dark themes and topics, and never stopped moving at a mile a minute. And it has that same feel. You're just swept up into it like a Disney ride, and you're just really enjoying it, and you're learning about American history in the process.
Yeah. And being aware of perhaps what we had done to the Chinese in exploiting them.
Yeah.
And I think it brings that very well, and it does it in the best possible way by making fun of it.
I give the Chinese, because all the Chinese movies have to pass through a political review in China to make sure that they meet Chinese political standards. And I give them a lot of credit for really keeping this in the background. It's not shoved down your throat. And at the end of the day, you're going, oh my God, did we really do that? Wow, that's a dark time for America.
Yeah.
But you're getting this in a screwball comedy, so it's much more palatable. It's much easier to take in this kind of a situation.
All right, Ken, besides the fact that I'm not really good about films that have way too many characters and too much action. That's why I really needed you. But I'll tell you one thing, I don't know if anybody would notice this. I could barely read the subtitles. They go so fast.
Mandarin is a fast language.
Wow.
Mandarin is spoken at 70 or 80 words a minute.
Whoa.
So unless you're a speed reader, you're going to have to get your game on, because these
really?
subtitles go by a mile a minute,
Yeah.
and you will miss stuff if you blink.
Yeah, right. So that's very distracting for me.
Yeah.
And very.
It is not an easy subtitled film to read.
Yeah, right. So why should anybody who's listening to us go to see this thing? It's playing in only a couple of theaters.
It's playing in a couple of theaters.
Now,
It's a sold out audiences.
Yeah, I got. It's actually IMAX.
It's playing. Well, is it playing somewhere in IMAX? I hadn't heard that. It is playing. It's playing at a couple of the big AMCs, and it's doing gangbuster business. Now, part of that is because there's a large Chinese population here in Columbus.
Yes.
Who can go, don't have to read the subtitles.
Well, as a matter of fact, we didn't mention this. This is the prequel to a couple of other iterations of this that have been very, very popular around
but it
the world.
stands completely on its own.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
right,
you don't have to see it in conjunction with
It's not like the current Captain America where you should have seen.
You've got to,
Hulk and
you've got to have
others.
seen 10 other movies to really pigeonhole that movie where it belongs.
This is my stuffed month. That's another one. That's another one that has way too many for me. I like the simple fare.
Oh yeah. And I just knew that you would enjoy this movie, John, because it is such a lighthearted, fun romp, but it is also an educational film.
Yeah.
It is a film that will teach you a little bit about things that maybe weren't going so well back in the early 1900s.
Well, recap for us then. Before we get to our podcast, which is going to be Back Talk, and you have to go to WCBE.org to get to hear us. We're going to say more, and we might even say more about some Asian films that we know.
Some other Chinese
But
films.
Ken, most of our audience is white. They're not Chinese. In fact, I've never had a comment from Chinese for our show. So this is new territory. What do you advise our audience?
I would advise you that if you think you can keep up with the subtitles, go see this. It's a fun, lighthearted, it's a great date movie, again, if you can keep up with the subtitles.
Yes.
There's nothing offensive in this movie. It's a throwback to the great Sherlock Holmes adventures. It's a throwback to films like Pirates of the Caribbean. It has so much going for it. There's a reason why this movie has been playing to sold-out audiences.
Yeah, and for those of us in a place like Columbus, we're always interested in the cross-cultural experience. I think this is a really good one. Your caution is great because I share it. That is that the Mandarin demands that the subtitles are very fast. But I wouldn't be uptight as I get. If I miss a word, I'm just crying. So don't be like me and actually enjoy it. If you miss some words, forget it, because you'll see visually, you'll see what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually it all gets explained, and you have your two English-speaking characters, and so
And there's some great martial arts battles in this, which
Yeah.
of course need no subtitles. And there's references to a lot of American history in it, but it's done in such a way that it's very fun and lighthearted. Much the same way you might learn a little Caribbean history from watching Pirates of the
Yes,
Caribbean. Same thing going on here.
And we used to always make jokes about Asian titles. They're always too expressive. They're way too. So this one's a little bit of a clunky title. Detective
Chinatown 1900.
But we got it.
Movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom. He's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if